All right, so I'm just going to show you a demo. So I've been trying a few coding assistants, or you can say AI pair programmers, to see how they work and which of them is, best for my use. I have already tried GitHub Copilot, AWS Code Whisperer. Then there is new, which came up last night, was Star Coder. There is an assistant as well as a pair programmer from Hugging Face, right? So, but then I tried Hugging Face, Star Coder, um, didn't get that experience that I wanted to. So I thought, why not look for some AI pair programmer, uh, you know, which could be using a chat interface whom I can ask certain questions, and it can also help me on my, code requirements as well. So in this demo, what I plan to basically show is a fairly niche concept, which is mainly revolves around infrastructure as code deployment. Um, right, so you may be knowing using ARM or Azure Resource Manager templates to provision various resources in Azure subscription. There is another variant for it which is called as Bicep, right? Bicep, that is BICEP. Now, it's fairly niche because not many people know about it. Majority of the folks know about ARMs, and I basically wanted to see how it can help me in that. So, without further ado, I came across this extension called Byto. Okay. Now, this one is basically a GPT-4 based ChatGPT interface, which can help you in writing code, explaining the code that you have written, and also create test cases. It has fairly simple, interface in terms of you can ask it to generate code, ask questions, ask clarifications, and you can use it for various purposes. I'll show you how it looks like. So this is the interface. I simply focus on these templates. All right. So the one of them is explain code. So if you have a code that you inheriting from somewhere, maybe a legacy code, you can use this feature to which will help you explain and get an explanation of the code that is written. You can generate comments, you can performance check them, you can also have a security check, style check. You can improve readability by the refactoring of the code, cleaning up the code, and in certain cases, generation of the unit tests as well. There is also provision for you to add new templates. I have not tried that, but looks promising. Now, coming to the bicep, you know, example that I was talking about. So, being a chat interface, I simply had to ask what I need. Okay, so it simply asked it create a series of biceps. So biceps are basically the components which allow you to provision your Azure resources. So when I say biceps, I expect it to create multiple bicep files, right? I describe my goal, wherein the goal is to provision a resource group, a Azure storage account with hierarchical namespace, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks Workspace, and a key vault. I also told that all these resources must have private endpoints enabled and must be able to connect with each other. Now, private endpoints help us, to cordon off any traffic through the public internet, and be all these services will be, working among themselves, helping you achieve what you wanted. I also suggested it to structure the biceps into separate modules with a main bicep that can orchestrate the provisioning. So I basically wanted it to split all these resources into their respective biceps, and on top of that, a main bicep file which can allow me to see the orchestration and the dependencies. And I also told that all biceps must be parameterized with a common parameter file. Now, since it is using GPT-4, I was not surprised that it was able to give me the outcome as well, or the output as well. So it created the common parameter JSON, uh, as you see here. It basically put all the parameter entries into this JSON file. It created the main bicep. Now here, if you see, the bicep is parameterized. It basically first creates the resource group, then the storage account, then the data factory, then the Databricks. It also creates the key vault. Okay. Now, if you look at closely, each of these modules have their own specific biceps, right? Databricks biceps, Key Vault biceps. So we'll go through each of them. So now moving on to the resource group bicep. So it is again parameterized and using the certain schema from the bicep reference and be able to generate that code for you. Now this looks very simple, but then if you ask someone to create it from scratch, believe me, it's a hell ride of a ride. It's not easy for anyone to pick it up from day one and start building bicep from ground up. But I was surprised to see how this has allowed me to raise up my game in terms of, even if I have not worked with bicep before or have not implemented them, I won't shy away from utilizing them because this thing basically removes that hindrance to take the first step, right? Most of us, we basically get overwhelmed looking at a concept which you don't know. But then the power of Chat GPT and the GPT based transformers is, they basically take that hindrance away from you. They get you started, and that's the best part, right? So here, storage account, you describe it, the what kind of you need, hierarchical namespace it enabled, network ACLs, private endpoint, which we asked it to create. It also, give the right properties for it to be approved automatically, and it also is trying to associate a subnet ID with it, right? And as you know, a storage account needs access, from Databricks. So it created the key vault, the key entries, and also the key vault URL as well, right? So I was actually taken aback in terms of the things that I wanted it to take care of. It has taken care of them beautifully, right? Similarly for Data Factory, Databricks, and Key Vault. And at the end, it also gave me how to run this bicep. So I need to use a AZ CLI to start off my development, give this common parameters JSON as an input, and you're good to go. well, not completely. Okay, so what I did next is I basically I basically created these files as I wanted it to. So I have all my parameters in the common parameter, Databricks bicep, Data Factory, Key Vault, and all the things that I wanted, right? Now, if you look at here, so I already have a bicep visualizer. I'm just hovering on the main bicep. So it tells me how the things look like. So my resource group, all of these things are actually part of my resource groups. What is missing is basically the subnets and the VNets and all those stuff as well, which I was expecting it to show, but for some reason it is not showing. It could be because there are errors in these files, right? Now this is the point wherein I wanted to get back to you to the reality. Okay. One thing that you must be looking is that what APIs is it, oh sorry, what schema is it using? If you look at it's 2018, 2021, 2018 again, right? So they're pretty old. Things have moved on since then, right? Though it has given me the code which looks very promising, uh, due diligence should be done in terms of what APIs and what schemas is it referring to. Certainly, ChatGPT or GPT-4 is currently confined to the 2021 data till 2021. But then I definitely feel over the period of few months probably we will see it referring to the latest schema references as well, right? So coming back to this, it is throwing certain errors. This is where professional knowledge comes in play. So though it got you started with the code on bicep, but it will take, I mean, some effort to get this going. Now to put this into 80-20 rule, you simply did 20% to achieve the 80% of the code. But then to cover the rest 20%, you will have to put that 80% of effort by going through the schema definitions, the properties, the attributes, making sure that they align well. And of course, you will need manual intervention in terms of trying this out, deploying it, and see if it works the way you wanted. But then, nevertheless, this is something which was not possible, 4 months or rather 2 months ago, which is now possible, and I am not surprised if it gets improved many folds in a quarter or two. And it will be interesting to see the boundaries it will break by then. But until that time, I think this is the moment you and I have to get ourselves well versed with what is there, how to leverage it to improve our efficiency and stuff, and and during the course expose ourselves to problems which we have shied away from trying. Now I can be a, I can claim to be a UI developer as well if I want to, because I am not shying away from trying it from the first hand, and this thing will get me started right away. I will get into certain issues to get that working uh, taken, but then that is what you and I are for, right? Professional data engineers or engineers per se, this is our bread and butter. So do not shy away from trying this. This is going to increase your, up your game, but then don't let this replace you. All right. With that message, signing off.